already told you, is the second day of questioning. But very quickly, let's walk through what took place on the first day of questioning for the Congress president. As you can see here, the details, and this is all, remember, according to sources. The ED asked between 15 to 20 questions to Sonia Gandhi. Next, questions were linked to the Associated Journal and Young India. We'll take a deeper look at all of this in just a second. The questions majorly related to the money trail. Next, the quizzing also took place on the role of other Congress leaders, because remember some of the statements that had come forward when Sonia Gandhi's son Rahul Gandhi was interrogated about the possible role of other Congress leaders. She was further questioned on that. The ED went slow though due to Sonia Gandhi's ill health. Remember, she was suffering from COVID-related complications. That's why she couldn't appear earlier with the ED. That's why she's appearing right now. Now, these are the details we know about how the interrogation went so far. In just a few seconds from now, I'm going to have my colleagues connect with us so that we can bring you more context. My colleague right now, our senior editor, Pallavi Ghosh, with us to bring us a lot more in terms of context here. Pallavi, for our audiences, could you start us off, because we haven't been able to do this in depth, could you start us off first with just a brief summary of what this case that's been going on for a few decades, not for a few decades, for almost a decade now. Could you tell us more about what it's about, A? And then could you tell us very quickly about how Rahul Gandhi's interrogation went a few weeks ago, and then give us context to what's taking place with Sonia Gandhi right now?
So very quickly, the National Herald case is linked to the Young India company on which it was registered, and it's supposed to have been an NGO, but the allegation against the Gandhis is, because they are sitting board members, was that funds which were going for the newspaper were actually diverted to other areas, and there was basically the main charge against them is siphoning off of the funds, something which has been categorically denied completely by the Congress party. Well, this is day 2 of Sonia Gandhi's questioning. The last one was a very, very brief one, but Rahul Gandhi's was one which went on for over a week. They were very long, extended ones. According to the ED, it was because Rahul Gandhi took a lot of time over replying, changing his answers constantly. And essentially, he had made the same point, which I guess even Sonia Gandhi is making, is that there's been no embezzlement of funds. They've got nothing to do with it. Everything is transparent. And this case is absolutely crystal clear. And there's not even an iota of truth that they are funds which were siphoned off by the Gandhis just because of virtue of them being on the board of directors of this company. But, you know, these are political issues. These become political issues. As in the case of Rahul Gandhi, for Sonia Gandhi, the Congress party is also pretty much making the same, that how ED is selective in its investigation. They don't target those who belong to the BJP or close to the BJP. But if you're a political opponent, and an aggressive one at that, then all guns are out by the ED.
Pallavi, could you also walk our audiences through the kind of cross-country protests we saw already last week and what we're going to be seeing take place across the country today?
Well, there was a meeting which took place late last night at the Congress headquarters. Little change in strategy as of now is that, unlike the last time round that they were planning massive street protests, I think this time round the Congress wants to confine those protests within the Congress headquarters. But the Parliament session is on. It's going to be taken on inside the Parliament. And that's another interesting point, Toya, is that this time round they're trying to get in the support of opposition parties when they're going to be protesting outside the Mahatma Gandhi statue. Again, very quickly, last time round when the Parliament session was on and then the first day of questioning of Sonia Gandhi was taking place, there was actually a joint statement which was issued by the opposition parties. At least on this issue, the Congress has managed to ensure that the opposition is on the same page. But let's not also forget parties like the Shiv Sena, parties like, for example, the Trinamool Congress, themselves are facing the heat on the ED issue. So therefore, it's easier supposedly for Congress party to get this kind of an opposition unity.
Pallavi, thank you for providing us with those details. Do stay with us. For our audiences, we're now going to go over to other colleagues of mine. Nikhil is present as we speak right now outside Sonia Gandhi's residence. I'd just like to remind our audiences that this is Sonia Gandhi's first such tryst with an investigative agency in a 2.5-decade political career. Let's go over to Nikhil right now to understand more. Nikhil, what time is Gandhi expected to appear in front of the ED?
Well, Toya, as per the given details by the sources, Sonia Gandhi is set to appear before the ED officials at about 11 a.m. But this needs to be known whether this time as well her daughter Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, they are going to appear with her, because last time, if you remember, Toya, on the medical ground she was allowed, Priyanka Gandhi was allowed to stay with her, but on a different room because of the medical condition, because of providing the medicines and all. But this time we need to confirm the same. In a short while from now we will tell you more on the same. But at about 11 a.m. she is expected to leave the 10 Janpath area where her residence is. These are the visuals from her residence. This is the outside from her residence. The security has already been beefed up, and right adjacent to the 10 Janpath, which is the residence of Sonia Gandhi, there is this AICC office, All India Congress Committee office on 24 Akbar Road. So 24 Akbar Road is the same place, same Congress headquarter, where all the workers and senior leaders of the Congress party, they are expected to gather here before 11 a.m. because they are going to protest here. And as per the given details, Toya, what we are given to understand is that yesterday permission was sought by from the Delhi police by the Congress officials for holding a protest in Rajghat area in the national capital, but it was eventually turned down by the Delhi police personnel, by the Delhi police officials, saying that section 144 has been imposed. So Congress's plan this time was to protest at the Rajghat side where there is memorial of Mahatma Gandhi, but it got turned down. This is the reason why the Congress leaders are upset, and in fact the KC Venugopal, who is the MP and General Secretary, clearly he expressed his disappointment on the same yesterday while talking to the media personnel, and he was saying that wherever we try to stage a protest, the central government or the Delhi police, they impose section 144 on that particular area. But if we talk about this stretch, the AICC office, 24 Akbar Road, this place as well, the section 144 has already been imposed. Only the office bearers of the Congress party, they are allowed by the Delhi police. So the security has already been beefed up. I would urge my camera person to show you that there are different layers of barricading which has been put into place. And also, if you can see, Toya, this is the road which actually leads towards the ED office. ED office is just a few steps away, say about 1 or 1.5 kilometers. 3 to 4 minutes is the distance from this 10 Janpath to ED office. But she takes it, last time if you remember, she took actually a different turn, because on this side of the stretch the workers of the Congress party were there. So she took another route and she had reached to the ED office. So today as well, in a short while from now, we are expecting good gathering of the Congress party workers, many of the in charges, many of the MPs, and in fact we are assuming that some of the CM would also be coming from the Congress ruled state. So so today as well we are going to see that the so-called Satyagrah will be organized by the Congress party. But if you remember, Toya, last time as well we had seen that how the trains were stopped in the national capital. We had seen the visuals from the Shivaji Bridge area where 2 to 3 trains were disrupted, and also because of the same, some other movement of the trains were also disrupted. So the general public is the one who has to bear the brunt for the same. Section 144 is already imposed in the Lutyens Delhi area. That means many of the routes have already been diverted because of the same. So this is the reason why it becomes even important. And as mentioned by Pallavi as well, in different states of the country, the leaders have already been advised from the Congress party, Congress High Command, that you have to stage a protest in the area where media coverages is given until she is allowed to disperse from the ED official. These are the details currently with us. Toya.
All right, Nikhil, stay with us. We're going to continue to touch base with you again and again. But first, let's go over now to my colleague, Siddhant. Siddhant, I'm going to ask you two questions here. The first, if you could give our audiences a brief overview from some of the outtakes of Rahul Gandhi's 50-hour interrogation, particularly what he'd had to say about the involvement of other Congress leaders. Do we know what Sonia Gandhi had to say on the same? Do we have any information from our sources?
Well, look, Well, look, not just Rahul Gandhi. In fact, Pawan Bansal and Mallikarjun Kharge have also been questioned by Enforcement Directorate in the past. And Rahul Gandhi was summoned multiple times. And in fact, when we speak to the officers in the Enforcement Directorate, they tell us that it was Rahul Gandhi who himself was writing his statement. It was being timed, and he used to take last few hours to do correction in his statement. And this is perhaps the reason that this entire process took 5 long days. Now, today is the second day of examination for Sonia Gandhi. On first day, she was questioned for 2 hours, and then later she was allowed to go. This time it is expected that the examination can go till evening. But Enforcement Directorate is aware about the health conditions of Sonia Gandhi. In fact, the request was also made last time around that Priyanka Gandhi should be allowed in the Enforcement Directorate.